Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Newark and Sherwood series, a district of 84 civil parishes right in the centre of Nottinghamshire. Come with me as we delve into one of them. Welcome back to Newark and Sherwood, everybody. Now, if you've been following this series, you might recognise the building that's behind me. That right there is a railway station, and if you saw the Kirklington episode, you'll know it's not in Kirklington, but it is in today's parish. Now, I'm standing on the old track bed. There used to be a railway line right here. As you can see, it's now a road that runs to a car park, and that there is part of the old platform. The car park is here, and it's for the Southwell Trail. We'll be seeing a lot of this in the next couple of episodes. This episode, though, is Edingley. This Newark and Sherwood video is sponsored by Past Days, a family history blog by June Terrington. You'll find a link in the description. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. This is Edingley, a small village 3 miles to the north of Southwell in Newark and Sherwood. It's a linear village situated at the foot of Edingley Hill, surrounded by an expanse of farmland. As a village, it's always been largely agricultural. The parish includes 2 small hamlets, Osmondthorpe and Greaves Lane. The name Edingley contains the Old English personal name Eddi without the E. As we know already, Lee means a wooded clearing or a glade, so welcome to Eddi's clearing. I like that, I have to say. Edingley used to have a very ancient manor house situated near the church of St Giles. Surrounded by a moat, it was accessed via a drawbridge. Edingley also once had a cotton mill, which employed a great number of the local villagers. It was demolished in 1842 after laying unoccupied for several years. Mill Dike still runs to the west of the village. Edingley's main features these days include the Old Reindeer, a 17th century pub which is popular with ramblers, and the old schoolroom which is now a community centre. There's also Edingley Lodge Care Home on Station Road, and the old station itself, which stands on the Southwell Trail, the former railway line that connected Southwell to Mansfield. It was a rainy day as I took this one on, but thankfully there were no muddy footpaths to deal with in this one, unlike Hallam, which was filmed about an hour earlier. Let's go for a walk, guys! Our journey around Edingley starts at the former Kirklington and Edingley railway station, which you may well recognise from a couple of episodes ago. This was on the Mansfield to Southwell railway line, and the former trackbed here is now the Southwell Trail, a long-distance footpath which ends in Southwell. The station was opened in 1871 by the Midland Railway. Initially, 3 trains per day ran from Mansfield to Lincoln, and 4 trains per day ran in the opposite direction. This section passed through a mining area. The station closed to passengers in 1929, and the old station building and the platform still remain today. After closure, people could still get around thanks to a motor omnibus service provided in conjunction with Mansfield and District tramways. Freight services continued to use the line until 1964, but after that, the track was lifted and it eventually became the Southwell Trail. We'll be seeing this again soon. Okay, so away from the station, we're now in Edingley village itself, and our route begins right here at the parish church of St Giles. Let's go. The parish church of St Giles is Norman in origin. This forms a joint ecclesiastical parish with Hallam. The building has no tower, but there is a bellcote. Its north wall comprises a number of windows from different periods, including a narrow Norman one. St Giles underwent extensive repairs and restoration during the 19th century. The chancel was rebuilt in 1844, and the whole building was fully restored in around 1890 by channel favourite Hodgson Fowler. The church is Grade 2 listed, as are a pair of headstones in the churchyard from the late 17th century. Directly opposite the Lick Gate is a former Wesleyan Methodist chapel built in 1838. Part of it is now a local business, Loft Handmade. The field beyond this once had a moated manor house which was served by a drawbridge. Oh, and check out this lovely little bit of artwork on its wall. Aren't these two likely characters? Okay, we've got a parish notice board here on the side of Loft Handmade, so you know what to do with one of those. Put it on the notice board, and Edingley is officially done. Here's a bus stop. Edingley is served by the number 29 and the same number 28 service that runs through Hallam, connecting it with Mansfield, Southwell and Newark. The road now starts to climb sharply. In front of us here is Edingley Hill. Over the hill is Hallam, where this becomes the turnpike. There's not a lot up there, so instead we're going down Station Road. This is a long straight street which has terraces at one end before becoming a little more spread out further along its length. It's residential largely. By the way, Edingley has no shops. The nearest ones are in neighbouring Farnsfield. As you approach the end of civilization, you pass Edingley Lodge Care Home. This was formerly known as Highfields, and there'll be at least one regular viewer out there who knows this building very well. It's run by Barchester Healthcare and has 45 rooms. Looks like it's having an upgrade too. Okay, so after a walk back down from Edingley Lodge, we're now following this footpath which will take us across Edingley Beck and back to the main road. There's not a lot left, if I'm being totally honest with you. Let's see what else it's got. Our route passes over Edingley Beck now. This begins in the hills above the village and flows into the River Greet close to Kirklington. After that we pass another chapel related building, Chapel Cottage. Both the Wesleyan and Primitive Methodists had chapels here in the 1800s. Then it's the old village school. Built in 1911, this closed in the 1960s. It was taken over by the private Edgehill School and extended northwards with a series of temporary buildings. Now known as the Old Schoolroom, it's the village's community hall. It's been recently extended, and in front of it there's a large play area. There are records of a school in the village as far back as 1731, when the first one was endowed by John Lamb and Samuel Wright. As we continue up the road, we come to the phone box. At last, another Newark village which has a book exchange in one of these. I was beginning to think they'd all dried up. And that brings us to the Old Reindeer, which is Edingley's pub. Looks a very nice pub, this. I know it does food as well, because it says right there on that sign right there. Serves Whitby seafood scampi. Seafood and eat it. Well, can't disagree with that. The Old Reindeer is the only pub in Edingley. One of the oldest buildings in the village, it dates back to the middle of the 17th century. It's been extensively renovated and it's a popular haunt for local ramblers. Well, the well-behaved ones anyway. Dogs are welcome too. Now for the allotments. Normally, as you know, these are a bit of a joke, but here they have some historical importance. The land they're sited on originally held the village's poorhouse. In 1778, when land was enclosed here, allotments were made in lieu of tithes. The remainder of the walk takes us up Mansfield Road towards Farnsfield. Mansfield Road is lined with much newer houses, generally speaking, large detached efforts set back from the road with extensive grounds and gardens. Before it reaches the border, it crosses Mill Dike. Really nice place this all ends up, despite the horrible weather. So that's Edingley village, although there is a part of Edingley which is not in the main sort of cluster. I'm going to drive down there to finish this one off. It seems to be, generally speaking, residential, so this might come to nothing, I don't know. We'll drive down there and see what it's like, and then we'll head for the next one. As I suspected, this area isn't anything of note really. This is the hamlet of Greaves Lane. It's a long straight road which runs in a westerly direction towards the A6097 Oxton bypass. Because it's mostly just housing along here and not really all that interesting, let's fill this little drive with a bit more information I found relating to the cotton mill. It stood close to where we ended the main walk on Mill Dike. Some of the workers' cottages nearby still stand, though their conversion into cowsheds has made them almost indistinguishable from the other farm buildings. Only the old fireplaces and in one case the stairs and banister rail indicate conclusively their origin. Other cottages have been pulled down, but some of their foundations can still be made out beneath a sea of mud within the farmyard at Cotton Mill Farm. Practically nothing else is known about the mill, but it was a small self-contained industry which ultimately failed. Not far from the mill site there's some earthworks which relate to the Civil War. They're believed to be a Civil War bastion, part of what was the western outer defences of Newark. It's a rectangular enclosure with sharp corners, the southwestern corner being the one with the outline of a bastion. All of this is on private land. There was no way I could have filmed any of it. I've included two links below, one entitled Civil War Bastion and the other Cotton Mill, to show you where the two sites are located. As far as Edingley goes, that's it. Not a bad little place, but it would have been better if the weather had actually held up. Regardless, that's another one down in Newark and Sherwood, and I'm off to the next one, where we're going to see a lot more of the Southwell Trail and another former railway station which still stands. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. This has been the parish of Edingley, and I'm out.